Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American psychological supernatural horror film from 2024, titled Smile 2. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The film begins 6 days after the events of the last movie, with Joel haunted by the Smile entity ever since he witnessed Rose taking her own life. In a desperate attempt to pass the curse, he tracks down a group of drug dealers, confront one at gunpoint and force him into their hideout. Inside, with the dealer's brother watching, Joel stabs his target, hoping this will transfer the curse. However, the brother shoots him, leading to a gunfight where Joel fatally wounds the man. Since the curse requires a witness to survive for it to transfer, Joel begins to panic, and just then, another dealer named Louis Fregoyle enters and witnessed what happened. Joel apologizes to Louis, leaving him confused, and as Joel tries to escape, more of the dealer's associates arrive and start chasing him. He managed to get back inside and slips out through a back window, and as he flees into the street, he is hit by a car, his blood-stained body forming a disturbing smile pattern across the pavement. Next, we meet pop star Skye Riley, who is giving an interview with Drew Barrymore, where she talks about her past life. Though Skye has had a very successful career, she has struggled with substance abuse and is still recovering emotionally from a car accident that killed her boyfriend, actor Paul Hudson. Skye's mother, Elizabeth, managed her career, but Skye has also grown distant from her former best friend Gemma since the accident. Skye hopes her upcoming tour will help her make a comeback, and during a rehearsal with her backup dancers, Skye suddenly twists her waist and her choreographer, Anton, tells everyone to stop. After a meeting with her manager, Darius, and her assistant, Joshua, Skye gets a message from Louis, asking her to come over. After her crew drops her off at her apartment, Skye secretly heads to Louis' place to pick up some Vicodin to ease her back pain. When she arrives, Louis unexpectedly grabs her, holding a sword to her throat, looking visibly terrified. Confused, Skye reminds him that he texted her to come over, but Louis, clearly disturbed, says he doesn't remember sending her a message. Back to his senses, Louis tries to explain that something has been following him and starts to act erratically. He then goes into the next room to grab the Vicodin for Skye back pain, but moment later, he runs out of the room screaming. Louis is then attacked by something invisible, which enters his mouth, and suddenly, a disturbing smile spreads across his face. Before Skye can process what is happening, Louis grabs a heavy-weight plate and smashes his own face repeatedly, leaving his jaw managed and skin hanging. Horrified, Skye vomits and almost calls 911, but then realizes the trouble she will be in if found at a drug dealer's house. Skye returns home, still terrified by what she just experienced, and while brushing her hair in the bathroom, she notices strands of hair coming out. Later that night, she is awakened by a crunching noise and catches a glimpse of Louis, but he vanishes as soon as she turns on the light. The next day, Skye tries to shake off the horror of what she saw and focus on preparing for her tour. She attends a meet and greet with fans, but one fan, Alfredo, gets too close during their photo together. He grabs Skye, tells her she is beautiful, and says he wants to take her skin before security steps in and removes him. Shaken by what just happened, Skye takes a moment to collect herself and then resumes the meet and greet. This time, a young girl in line gives her a creepy smile, and shortly after, Skye receives an anonymous message asking if she had been at Louis' house. Suddenly, she hears a crunching sound but sees no one in the room, and when she looks in the mirror, she is horrified to see Louis standing behind her. She quickly turns around, but no one is there. Looking back at the mirror, she sees Louis again, who forces a smile onto her face, but it turns out to be her imagination. Feeling alone and frightened, Skye decides to call Gemma to apologize and ask if she can come over, which Gemma agrees to come. In her apartment, Skye, who is feeling thirsty, drinks a bottle of water and sets it on a table before heading to the piano. As she plays, she is interrupted by a strange noise. Going to check, she finds the water bottle shattered on the floor. As she proceeds to clean up the pieces, she stumbles upon a t-shirt she had signed for Alfredo, along with what appears to be his clothes scattered across the floor. Looking down the dim hallway, she sees Alfredo standing there, apparently naked, and suddenly, he lunges toward her. Panicked, Skye dashes to the door, only to be startled by Gemma's unexpected arrival. In her confusion, Skye harms herself and nervously checks again but finds no trace of Alfredo, even the water bottle is untouched. Sensing her distress, Gemma asks what's going on, and Skye opens up about the strange experiences with Louis and the disturbing visions, and Gemma agrees to stay with her for the night. Later, Skye dreams of the car accident that took her boyfriend's life, before waking up shaken. As she tries to fall asleep again, Skye talks to Gemma about the darkness she feels in herself even before the car accident, to which Gemma says it's because she's a horrible person. Skye then sees the entity as Gemma smiling at her before making a car honking noise, and Skye wakes up in the morning and finds Gemma making breakfast. Later that day, Skye arrives at the rehearsal space for her tour, apologizing to everyone for being late. During the tour rehearsal, Skye and her dancers are practicing when she suddenly sees a flash of Paul smiling at her. The shock causes her to stumble and fall, injuring her leg, but when she checks, her leg is completely fine. Frustrated, she angrily accuses one of the dancers of causing her to lose her balance, but Anton steps in and gently tells her that he hadn't seen anyone out of place. Furious, Skye storms off backstage, and as she heads to her dressing room, she catches Joshua walking out, giving her an unsettling smile. When Skye enters, she finds her room in complete disarray and immediately accuses Joshua of trashing it. However, Joshua denies any involvement. Even her mother steps forward to say that Joshua had been with her the entire day. Realizing how her accusations must seem, Skye begins to understand that her behavior is making her look increasingly unstable. Sensing something is wrong, Elizabeth asks Skye if she has returned to substance abuse, but Skye denies it and confesses that she is actually seeing things that aren't real. Later, she reluctantly agrees to attend a charity event hosted by Darius, after being pressured by her mother at their last conversation. During the event, Skye reads from a teleprompter, but when it freezes, she improvises and delivers a speech that unexpectedly veers into a rant about her personal life and struggles and how music has never inspired her. The teleprompter goes back to normal until it makes Skye read Paul's name out loud, which shock the audience, and make her see Paul smiling and walking up to her.
You're not Paul! Stop smiling at me!
Skye yells at Paul to stop smiling before she snaps back to reality. When an older lady tries to approach her with help, a bloodied Paul reappears to grab Skye, causing her to accidentally push the woman off the stage to the horror of everyone else, before fleeing the stage. Back at home, Skye begins receiving texts from an unknown number, and the person claims they know what she had been seeing and experiencing. The unknown number sends Skye a video recorded by Louis on his phone, and in the video, Louis describes his own terrifying encounters with the entity. The anonymous sender then invites Skye to meet them at a public location. She goes incognito to a bar to meet Morris, the man who has been contacting her. Once there, Morris shares a chilling story. His brother was a victim of the entity and gruesomely tore his own jaw off with a crowbar. He reveals that he has observed a pattern among the victims and was the one who discovered Louis' body, and he obtained Skye number from Louis' phone. He theorizes that the entity is parasitic and cannot survive without a host. As a nurse, Morris proposed a drastic solution. He could stop Skye heart temporarily to kill her and then revive her, preventing the entity from finishing the job. Horrified by the idea, Skye vehemently rejects it and storms off as fans begin to recognize and surround her. Back at her apartment, Skye tries to relax, but her efforts are in vain when she suddenly sees the entity manifest as her backup dancers, all grinning menacingly at her. They begin to chase her around the apartment, until they corner her, and one dancer appears to stick their arm down her throat, causing her to black out. In a flashback, Skye is with Paul on the night of the accident with both of them high on cocaine, and the atmosphere is tense. Frustrated by Skye's constant nagging, Paul calls her a psycho, which ignites Skye's anger, and in a fit of rage, she grabs the steering wheel, veering the car off the road and leading to a horrific crash. When she regains consciousness, she discovers that Paul is dead, and overwhelmed with grief and regret, she can only wail in agony. Skye wakes up in a hospital room, disoriented and scared, after being found unconscious in her apartment. Elizabeth is at her side along with Joshua, and when he leaves to call the doctor, Skye suggests canceling the tour due to her condition, but her mother vehemently argues against it. She warns Skye that canceling after the last tour could ruin her career and lead to a lawsuit from the record label for millions. When Skye expresses that all Elizabeth seems to care about is money, the entity suddenly appears before her, taking the form of her mother, which frightened her. Elizabeth punches the mirror in the room, shattering it, and grabs one of the shard before stabbing herself repeatedly, even gouging out her own eye. Terrified, Skye managed to free herself from the bed and rushed to the door, only to find the bloody shard in her hand, and her hospital gown covered in blood. To her horror, she sees what appears to be her mother's dead body lying on the floor, causing her to freak out. Just then, Joshua attempts to enter the room, but she prevents him from coming inside, informing him that she is dressing, and tells him to get a soda for her. Once he is gone, Skye quickly puts on a hoodie to cover her bloodied gown and cover her mom's body before leaving the room. As she attempts to escape, Joshua spots her and becomes frightened when he spots the blood on her gown, so he raises alarm. Doctors and security guards rush to help her, but in the chaos, Skye managed to snatch a guard gun and flees the facility. On the streets, Skye runs into Gemma and forces her driver at gunpoint to give up the car so she can go find Morris. Gemma insists on going with her, but on the way, Skye's phone begins to ring, and to her shock, it's the real Gemma calling. Skye realizes that the entity has been posing as her friend for the past few days, manipulating her thoughts and emotions. The entity begins to taunt Skye, whispering cruelly that nobody loves her and that she is all alone in this world. However, Skye refuses to be broken, and with newfound determination, she tells the entity that it's all in her head and that it has no power over her. Taking control of the car, she navigates through the streets and manages to drive away safely. Skye arrives at an abandoned Pizza Hut to meet Morris to go along with his solution for her deteriorating mental state before suffering permanent brain damage. They make their way to the freezer, where the process to help her is set to begin, and just as they start, Morris leaves the freezer to fetch something, leaving Skye alone. Suddenly, the entity appears, taking on the form of Skye's past self. It attacks her violently, tossing her around the room as she struggles to defend herself. The entity reaches its hand toward Skye's mouth, but in a moment of desperation, she bites off its thumbs. Seizing the opportunity, she grabs a syringe that Morris had left behind, intending to use it to knock herself out. Skye injects herself with syringe and begins to feel dizzy, only to discover she is hallucinating. Unfortunately, this doesn't stop the entity, as it begins to laugh manically at Skye, and she attempts to escape but discovered the door is locked. With a sinister grin, the entity approaches her and locks Skye in the freezer, telling her to break a leg. Moment later, Skye finds herself on stage at her tour's opening night at Madison Square Garden. A still-alive Elizabeth, Joshua, and Darius watch from the audience, revealing the entirety of her past several days' events have been another hallucination. Unseen by others, the entity appears and reveals its true form, a large, skinless humanoid with multiple smiling mouths nestled into one another. The entity possesses Skye by breaking apart her mouth and crawl inside, while to the audience, she appears to choke and collapse. The now-possessed Skye stands up, reveal a menacing smile, and fatally stabs herself in the eye with her microphone in front of thousands of horrified spectators. Okay guys, that's all the recap about Smile 2 from 2024. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.